Hi everybody, it's Vanessa. Welcome back to my channel. You guys, thank you so much for joining me for another foundation review. I'm always on the lookout for the next best foundation out there, and today I decided to just kind of go and see a foundation that's been out there for a while that I just haven't gotten a chance to try out for whatever reason, and it's the Huda Beauty Full Filter Skin Finish Foundation Stick. So this foundation's been out for, I want to say maybe like a year or so, I want to say. I own one other Huda Beauty foundation and it's kind of an older one. I think I own the original version of the first foundation that they came out with like years and years ago. And I have to say, I really, really liked it. It was a little bit on the heavier side. It was definitely full coverage. I really enjoyed it. I think, as far as I can remember correctly, they actually reformulated the formulation or something like that. So it's not the same one that I have right now. That foundation, it's not being sold at Sephora anymore. It's not available anywhere from my understanding, if I'm understanding correctly, which is a shame because I really enjoyed that foundation, even though it wasn't, necessarily like everyday wear for me. But anywho, today we're viewing the foundation stick right here, and I got mine in the shade Toasted Coconut 240, and right here, hopefully you guys can kind of see it. There you go. There were a couple of other shades that I felt I probably could have gotten, but I ended up just looking at other people who had reviewed this foundation and kind of just trying to match my skin tone to theirs to see if maybe I could kind of get a better idea, and I ended up going with this one. I have a feeling it's going to be like exactly my skin tone, which I normally like to get a shade a little bit darker. I don't know why, it's just like a mental thing. I like to go a shade darker. But before we get to the application, let's read some of the directions because it claims to be a more kind of buildable coverage foundation. Okay, it says, for light medium coverage, apply to face and buff out with your favorite sponge or brush. Repeat to build coverage as needed. For full coverage, swipe foundation directly onto a dense flat brush and apply to face. Blend foundation outward and repeat until desired coverage. It claims to be a natural finish, buildable coverage, and waterproof. I'm not sure if I'm going to test out the waterproof. Maybe I will I don't know. But here is the packaging right here. It's like that classic sleek Huda packaging that I actually really enjoy. As for the shades, I think that it has a pretty decent shade range. I'll put it somewhere around here. Okay, so for the application, what I'm going to do is I'm going to test it out with one of these sponges right here. And then I'm going to go in with one of these brushes just to kind of test out what is the best way to apply it. In my experience, usually stick foundations apply better with a brush. I don't know why, but yeah, I've got a brush here just in case the sponge doesn't work out. Okay, first swipe right here, and oh, okay. It actually comes off a little bit darker than in the packaging, I think. Just gonna dot it on this side first. Okay, let's test it out with this. And I feel like it's taking away most of the coverage, so I think I'm gonna go with a brush. Yeah, I think that with these sponges, it just kind of looks like a super light coverage. So yeah, brush time. Okay, yeah, it's giving a lot better coverage. Okay, so here it is, one full layer, and I'm actually pretty satisfied just with this one layer. I was kind of tempted to go in with a second, but I'm pretty happy with this, and I think anything more would just be kind of like a little too much. I think the shade matches me like perfectly. I think this is just the right amount of like a yellow undertone while still being like a little bit neutral, sort of. I think technically Yeah, it's actually a neutral, but I think that it has a little bit more of a yellow undertone, but that's just kind of like my opinion and how it's looking on my skin tone. And on the person whose review I saw, it was coming off a little bit more yellow on her too. So I think that that's just kind of like the shade. I was kind of tempted to go in with another layer to see how well it would build. And actually, you know what? I think I'm going to do that just like maybe around my cheek area. So hold on one second. Okay, so this is a light second layer that I just put on, and I don't know, I feel like I can't tell that much of a difference, maybe just like a little bit. Um, so is it buildable? I mean, kind of, sort of. But I'm pretty happy just with the coverage that it just gave me with what I have on right now. Like I said, I got this because it actually looked a little bit more yellow than the one that I was originally going to go with. I forgot what shade it was, but it was supposed to have like a yellow undertone, but it came off a little bit more pink from the swatches. So I feel like this one, the coconut or toasted coconut, which is supposed to be like a neutral shade, I think this one has a little bit more yellow in it than some of the other ones that claim to be for more yellow undertones. So I'm just going to go ahead and do the rest of my makeup. I'm going to let this kind of settle for a little bit. One of my things against stick foundations, and I feel like I haven't seen a stick foundation that doesn't do this, they get kind of like slippery. Like, just, I don't know if there's like some ingredient in order to make it into a stick foundation that just makes the foundation kind of slippery and easily kind of like, it makes it easier to like rub off. I don't know what it is, but that's like one of the things that annoys me about stick foundations. And we're gonna see if this can kind of like settle a little bit more, because right now I can tell that it would be one of those typical stick foundations that kind of like easily rubs off. But yeah, I'm gonna give it a couple of minutes to just kind of set, and I'm gonna do the rest of my makeup, so I will be right back. Okay, so I just finished the rest of my makeup, and I feel like the foundation hasn't totally fully set. Like, I'm looking at my forehead and it's looking like the littlest bit dewy, so I'm not sure if I would even call it like a natural finish. I feel like it's almost like slightly dewy, and it's not the highlight or anything like that. Like right here, I didn't put any product, and you guys can see it's looking a little dewy, right? But everything else went on perfectly fine. The bronzer, blush, highlight, the whole thing. So we're gonna see if this eventually kind of like dries down a little bit more. But yeah, we'll see. So far, it's nice. I like it. We'll see how long, it wears and all of that. So right now it's 11:10. My first check-in will be around midday. So like around maybe like 2:30, 3 o'clock. My last check-in will be at around 6:30, 7 o'clock tonight. But yeah, right now I'm gonna say it's okay. Like I said, it's looking a little dewy. I feel like it's not totally setting, which I'm not crazy about, but let's give it some more time and we shall see. So I will see you guys for the first check-in in a few hours. I'll see you guys later. Okay, so it's 3:24 right now. I've been wearing the foundation for a few hours now, and it's looking a little greasy, especially like right around my T-zone. But all my products are still on, my eyebrows are still there. Blush, highlight, bronzer, the whole thing. That hasn't budged, but definitely looking a little greasy. I really, really want to blot my nose. I'm not going to do it, but I really, really want to blot my nose because it's probably the shiniest. Oh, I really want to blot my nose. I'm not going to. I'm just going to leave it like that and continue to see how it's going to wear. So far, not the best, but not the worst, that's for sure. Also, I've noticed that it's kind of like rubbed off. Again, it could just be me because I've maybe like rubbed my nose without even realizing. But yeah, not too bad, not the best so far. It's like doing okay. So I'll see you guys for my final check-in in about like 3 hours or so. So I will see you guys then. All right, guys, welcome to the final check-in of the night. It is 5:55. I had just filmed my whole spiel about the foundation and realized that I was not mic'd. So the audio was very inconsistent. So yeah, we're gonna go ahead and just we're gonna go ahead and do this again. Okay, so like I said, it's 5:55. I'm ending the video a little bit earlier because I pretty much already made up my mind about how I feel about it. Like, the foundation's not bad, definitely not my favorite. I think the wear is surprisingly well. Like, I'm looking at myself right now. I think the only place where it wore off is like right around here, the tip of my nose. And that could be just because I wore a mask earlier. So maybe that's why it rubbed off a little bit more than it normally would have. The shade match was actually like spot on in my opinion. I think that it's probably the only foundation that I own that is like almost exactly the shade that I need. Like, it's not dark, it's not too light, it's like right, this is the foundation shade that I should be basically. Everything wore really well. Like, you can still see my blush, you can still see my highlight, bronzer, everything, even my eyebrows. My eyebrows are a little bit faded, but like nothing too bad. The oily bits that I've got going on here in my T-zone, I am quite a bit oily for my liking, but that could easily just be fixed with a setting powder. I think this foundation is definitely geared a little bit more towards like the normal to dry skin. I feel like oily it would be just kind of a hot mess in my opinion. I mean, I'm not necessarily very oily except for like my T-zone. And I mean, as you can tell, I'm pretty oily. So I can't imagine what it would look like on somebody who has kind of like all over oily skin. So if you have dry skin, normal skin, go for it. If you have oily skin, possibly maybe skip it. Overall, like I would give it like a 4 out of 5. I think that's my final score. 4 out of 5. It wore well. Great shade range in my opinion. Could definitely improve in some ways, but I think that I think it's decent. Like, it might not be my favorite foundation or, you know, anywhere near that, but I think it definitely has like a place in my makeup collection. I think that it's any type of stick foundation I think is great for travel just because you don't have to worry about it leaking. So that's most likely how I'm going to be using it. It's like quick, you know, super easy. You just kind of slide it on, you buff it on with a brush or with a beauty blender, and you're good to go. In my opinion, I think everyone should have at least one stick foundation just for the sheer convenience of it. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you liked it, go ahead and give it a like. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.